Growing up, watching my father, I always knew I was going to be a lawyer. In my family, we were always raised to give the shirt off your back to those in need. My name is Frank Cassisi, and I practice personal injury law in New York.
My name is Frank Cassisi, and I practice in personal injury law. We represent the victims of accidents. I was inspired to practice law by my parents' attorneys. My parents are immigrants, and when they came to this country, they needed a lot of help to open their business, and they formed a very close relationship with an attorney, and they were able to become extremely successful because of that attorney's availability to my parents when they had legal questions regarding the operation of their restaurant. And in fact, when I got out of law school, I worked for him for about 3 or 4 years and learned quite a bit as to how to treat a client.
You go to law school and you learn a lot about the different areas of the law, but you don't learn how to be empathetic towards someone, and you don't learn about how to maintain client relationships. Watching my father, he's built a practice for 40 years based on his relationships with the clients. And the most important part about client relationships is it has to be authentic.
Back in 2019, I was involved in a car accident, and the pain ended up being worse as time went on. And all along, my family would tell me, you know, you can't work anymore. You really should seek some form of counsel. And I hated the thought of actually going through a lawsuit. But eventually, as the doctor's visits were getting more, I decided I really need help.
Look at Earl. What a gentleman, what a gentleman. He used to be the cab driver for my mom and grandma, take them to doctors. My mother and grandmother would talk about me in the car, and he said, man, if I'm ever in trouble, I'm gonna call this guy. And on our first visit, I said, so how did you hear about me? He said, your mother and your grandmother. He said he was so impressed with the stories that they were telling me. I said, I'm gonna use this guy if I ever needed it.
When I finally met him, I realized he's every bit what they said he was. Frank actually did everything that they said he would do. Made you feel as though you're family. He's the real deal.
My father was a terrific businessman. He explained to me when I graduated law school, if you want to be successful, be gracious to your client. Always be there for him and win.
Being a personal injury attorney, it's more than just winning cases. It's about rebuilding lives. I believe it's something that has been embedded in me from a young age, watching how my father relates and represents his clients. And there's a quote that says, you make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give. And that's the same mentality we try and carry into our practice.
If you've been injured or someone you love has been injured, call the law office of Frank J. Cassisi, PC.